and gentlemen, welcome back once again for another fantastic episode of Last Minute Kickout. As always, I am the effervescent Pete Titans Creed Nevercoat, joined by the forever green screened John Turbo Finley.
It might not actually be a green screen that's here. It could be something else here. It could be me at the Thunderdome, possibly. It's like...
And a man who will be soon in his near future chuckied by all of his Funko Pop collection. One, Mr. Kevin, the Kevin Eva. How are you, sir?
Oh, you can't see the half of it.
No, I can
it's over there.
See the stuff. We can see the stuff that's literally about to jump off the top of the cabinet at you.
Yes,
you can get Swanton Bond by all of your...
You can just see over there, just Surfer Sting and Lex Luger ready to pounce on me.
Absolutely.
As the Black Scorpion turns out over all along.
We have been away for a while. There have been many things in this life that have kept us away, but many things in this life are for certain. One is life, one is death, one is taxes, and one is three nerds getting together on a podcast. So, we are back to talk about some wrestling, and specifically Double or Nothing 2022, as that has happened recently. And it was... I don't know. I want to say it was a good show. There was a bit of bad show. I'd say it's a mixed show. What were your first initial impressions, gentlemen?
Definitely mixed.
Yeah.
It's like, there was good action. It definitely didn't learn from WWE's recent kind of like decision making to split the show into two nights, because I felt that would have made it a lot better, because this was a 6-hour show.
If you factor in other things, the buy-in, etc., it was I agree with you, lads, it was definitely a mixed show, but it was a mixed AEW show versus a mixed WWE show, so
the positive way out the negatives.
Bit better. It's still a lot better than we've seen elsewhere and recently.
As the more super casual of the three of us, I'd say that the negatives are only based on I don't think certain people should have won. I think that's just where my negativity comes from it in certain places.
I was kind of off. Yeah, I was well off with some of my kind of like.
It's not even about the predictions itself. It's just like.
Well, it's just like what I felt should have won with the storylines that they had playing out and whatnot.
There was a couple where I was scratching my head a bit. There was a couple where I knew that it sort of had to go that way, and I think you guys did as well. It had to go that way for it to make sense.
I mean, the only one that I had proper thinking, yes, this is going to happen, was the main event, because I felt it was leading to that, how it was kind of like being portrayed. But we'll get to it.
Yeah,
eventually.
But unfortunately, it's the more cynical side of me is saying that the main event went that way literally because of what's around the corner in the next 4 weeks. But yes, enough of that. We shall talk to that as we go through it. For now, as always, we will begin with the buy-in, which is quite an entertaining. Only the one match on the buy-in, which was Hook and Danhausen against Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Obviously, this has been built up for ages. It's Danhausen's first. It's his first pay-per-view match.
Yes.
Since his injury, like he's obviously been on television, but then I believe he was still semi-injured, or that, like not able to do a proper match and build up to this.
It was a nasty injury. It took a long rehab on it. Obviously, this was following on from his debut, where he got absolutely smashed in about 26 seconds, I think it was. And hence the need to call on the powers. He set up the signal, put it into the air. The bag of chips silhouette was illuminated in the night sky.
I think someone was watching that One Warrior Nation storyline from WCW.
Oh God, let's hope not.
If that was the case, because he was doing that whole spotlight signaling malarkey back then as well.
Yes.
So
he was, wasn't he? Oh,
yes, he was. I've been recently watching videos about it. But yeah, I've been liking the pairing of I've always liked that dynamic of the serious kind of like no nonsense kind of like badass wrestler with the comedic heel gimmick wrestler, and how they the negatives attract
I get
dynamic.
that, but I feel like you're putting two very over people together unnecessarily.
No, I think it's still fine.
Hook, it feels like it's literally just there to stop Hook going on some singles gold tear.
It is a little bit.
Well,
You're buying time.
What I mean, you gotta get him to do something other than just be like a dominant. I mean, we've got too many dominant forces in the company.
A first singles loss is generally better to build up a character more than anything else, because then you can build another story there based on, has everything up till then been luck? Is it a comeback thing, or is it just changing the mental style and everything else? So, either way, the match was fun. It was normal Hook and Danhausen fare. I feel bad for Tony Nese. I really do. But I mean, this match was only really going to go one way, to be fair.
Yeah, Mark was there to pick up to take the pinfall, wasn't he? He did get dumped on his head. that suplex. So it kind of actually didn't surprise me he didn't get up after it, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, Nese doesn't lose massively in the circumstances, because it ultimately is Mark Sterling getting pinned, and I mean that does nothing really in the grand scheme of things. But
I didn't even know Mark Sterling was legitimately a wrestler.
He's very legitimately a wrestler, but he knows his role. He's a manager semi-authority figure who really does know his role, which is to appear and get his ass kicked and then come back as smarmy intellectual. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. The crowd went home happy. Danhausen's biggest battle in the entirety of the match was actually keeping his pants on.
Doing a bit of jock watch, are you there, Kev?
No, well, wasn't hard, frankly, because every time he took a bump, just like the waistband kept moving down further and further his arse. And every time he took a bump, he was like, "Oh for goodness sake!" and then like pulling his waistband back up. But hey, it was what it was.
Yeah,
people went home happy.
It was there specifically to pop the crowd before getting into the main show. With the main show actually starting with Wardlow and MJF in a singles match where if Wardlow won, he would be granted his release from MJF and be able to sign with AEW. And if MJF won, Wardlow would be banned from signing with AEW permanently. Again, really only one way this could go. The story's been building up for a while. Bit of a squash.
Say it lightly. It's like, what was it?
I'm not sure if this match has been tempered by all the other things that are currently surrounding the MJF phenomenon.
Whatever are you talking about, Pete?
But because you could have quite easily have had run-ins from members of the Pinnacle to spice this match up and make it less of a squash. Do
remember the Pinnacle exists other than Spears?
Well, they did have a semi-falling out with FTR a while back.
But FTR were for hire, FTR. That was the point. FTR were for hire.
Yeah, and FTR said that Wardlow was their friend as well, so they kind of took a step back from it. So.
I will say this about MJF and the AEW, irrespective of the situation, MJF needs a new storyline cycle, because we've had so Wardlow went through the trials and the labours in order to get to MJF, did beat MJF's ass and then has moved on. Before that, Punk went through the labours and the trials to get to MJF, beat his ass and then moved on. Before that, Jericho went through literally the labours of Jericho and the trials, beat MJF's ass and moved on. There's literally 3 times they've done the same thing.
Yeah.
But this is a thing of... I mean, this is something that Reddit obviously pulled up as well. I didn't notice that when I was reading r/squared circle, where the marks live. But it's something that they have mentioned over there. It's something that's very apparent, but it's also MJF considers himself a bit of a big tent draw, and he only wants to wrestle on those big pay-per-view, appearances, which is fair. That's us. But again, like you've said, Kev, it really requires a different appearance structure instead of rotating the same thing over and over, and that comes down to the creative team more than anybody else.
It needs MJF as a character needs the belt, but he needs to swoop in and steal it from somebody who's worked all the way to get to it at the right time.
My concern is that even with the belt, what's to stop him going, you can't have this match with me unless you do XYZ.
You will go through these labours that I've never done before. Actually, that would be the fourth set. That would be the fourth set.
I have done.
You have to go to get to MJF. They have to go through Jericho, then Punk, then Wardlow.
I have done Labour's ABC. Now you must do D, E, and F.
And I'm busy writing the rest of them now.
Welcome to the trials.
The trials.
Jacob Friedman.
just him standing on like a plinth somewhere, just going, the trials, as the camera pans back, and there's just this freaking horrible assault course, like the Way of the Warrior from Raven. Just going.
It's just a graphic of MJF in a judge wig and a hammer, and he's gone. Boom!
Actually, can we get Drew? Can we borrow Drew to play Raven? That'd be great.
In all fairness to the argument of the trials, it has led to names around the wrestling industry appearing on television.
Yes, absolutely.
Losing for the most part, but
it adds flavour, doesn't it? Anyway, MJF turned up, as we know, made fun of the whole thing with the plane. Was that everything from Fightful and their sources suggests it was true that it was booked? Did AEW know about that? Did AEW know that MJF was going to do this and not show up for the Fan Fest?
I think they did.
But if so, that put out a lot of his fellow workers because they didn't know.
It's not so much the workers as well, but it's also the fans, and they're treading a very fine line between.
It's but hey, he turned up. He got hit with power bombs. Halfway through, he didn't like being hit by power bombs. Started putting his hands out behind to block them, which was very funny. It's like, oh god, no.
I think the big thing about treading that line between AEW and the fans is that AEW has, and it's been mentioned quite a few times, that AEW has a different fan caliber. It's that space between indie and television, so it gets that whole Ring of Honor crowd, which are a little bit more indie mark type thing, rather than people who go to the long invested WWE type stuff and will just be there.
They're the guys who'll roll with it with a sort of like, okay, we'll sit back and see what you're doing, as opposed to this person that's up, I want a refund.
Yeah. Yeah, but what do you think of this match? Squash.
Yeah.
Banana.
It's a kumquat. It was just typical squash affair. It's like MJF. I was hoping that MJF would try to be a little more devious during the match, but because of everything that was going down and whatnot, it hampered what a story could have been told in this match. Because I was hoping a lot more, like Sean Spears being involved in the match. I was hoping that was going to be a factor. but it wasn't. He obviously, at least they tried to do a diamond ring spot, but failed.
Loved that, by the way.
But
I thought it was very well. It was very well done the way they did it. But
I mean, they did as well as it possibly could do. I mean, for a squash match, actually, you know what? I'm just looking at the time stamp for this. It wasn't the shortest match on the card.
Nope.
So, well, give it that at least. It's just Wardlow obviously being dominant throughout the entire match, though. It's like
thinking about it a bit more, I just feel like Spears not being at ringside or anything else, they could use the trials as ways to add stipulations to the match, you know? And that way you don't have Wardlow going in as like completely undefeated and well this is it. Like you could have had a stipulation being like decided on the winner by the winner of the match. So like if MJF's person wins, then MJF can go, you know, if I win, you can't sign with AEW, you know, and if you win,
which was the factor,
yeah. But what I'm saying is that through the trials they could have done that, so Wardlow would have essentially lost a match coming up to that. You build up one of the people you want to bring in for TV from outside of AEW, and you know then you can add on stipulations where Wardlow wins and he goes, Spears is banned from ringside, and it explains that sort of thing about why he's, you know, not going to be there.
Yeah, be a bit more.
Because it makes no sense him not being there and then just turning up on Dynamite and.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
unless you're literally going to have Wardlow put him on the shelf,
which is what I was thinking was going to be the factor after the match, because they did the whole stretcher job for him. Like,
yeah, and put the breathing apparatus over his eyes. It's a good way to breathe.
Yeah, upside down over his nose, and his eyebrows got the oxygen. Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's the EMT's first day on the job. He was still training.
The guy's not well liked. You know, it was not just Wardlow's revenge, it was Bryce's revenge. Bryce all the way through it. His face was an absolute picture of just like, yeah, this is happening. Mm-hmm. Just the smugness when he got to take the ring off, just like, which is actually a really smart thing, because if MJF had decided to go into business for himself, they had the ring. And if he decided to take off afterwards, they had the diamond ring after that, because Bryce was in Bryce's pocket. So that was actually kind of a smart thing on their part. Yeah, where does MJF go from here? To swear repeatedly on national television. That's what he does. And us, like you, will wait to see what the heck happens with this, because it's weird.
I feel like this current storyline is a way to keep him semi-involved, but actually get him off TV until after Forbidden Door, so he has nothing to do with the New Japan stuff. That's what I think it is, and then we'll see him on the Dynamite following Forbidden Door. I think that's exactly what's happened, is that they take him out of the picture, so nothing to do with the New Japan Forbidden Door PDD, and then we'll see him rock up in a month's time.
I could see him doing a Jericho style run in from the crowd.
Yeah, maybe.
Forbidden Door.
I'll just have to wait and see.
Because he voiced his great displeasure at New Japan in that Dynamite promo.
Well, he voiced his displeasure for the boss being a massive mark. Is essentially what he did. And speaking of being a massive mark, we have the Hardys versus the Young Bucks in a standard tag team match, which on paper I was very surprised was even happening, even though they've been building up to this, because I'm sure it was pre-pandemic times, but they literally had that massive stonker at Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
yes.
that was literally
that was return to
the
WWE.
Night before they came back to
for WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, they had that ridiculous ladder match, and oh my god, thank goodness that Tony Khan's got that, because we'll be able to see it now on whatever streaming service they put together. We'll actually be able to enjoy that. It wasn't really broadcast that well, I think, at the time.
I was going to say,
it was such a good match.
I was going to say, give it a couple of more years, it'll be up on YouTube for free.
Yep.
It'll be
So
up somewhere.
if you're after a good Hardys versus Young Bucks match, go watch that one when it's available. Otherwise, unfortunately, this one was mired with despair and problems.
Snakebit.
And age.
Snakebit. We knew that
I
Jeff's
think-
not doing too good anyway. He's
I
beat
think-
up, but this was
I
bad.
think I saw a review that put it best, and it's like the Daredevils of wrestling past, which have aged substantially, and it's all they're known for, are coming over from where they're not allowed to do as much because they want to protect her, and they're put wild to this semi, AEW, and they're being allowed to do what they want to do, and they're hurting themselves, and they're middle-aged and older, and they're just ruining themselves more.
I mean, Jeff specifically, he's been like
The man's jumped-
so many. He's broken so many bones, not just inside the ring, outside the ring as well. And it's like I'm
Don't
surprised.
forget what
the man
Matt
is,
did. Don't forget what Matt did when he came in and AEW had that match with Sammy Guevara.
I
and
don't
nearly-
want to think about that.
Oh yes,
I
we don't
I
want to.
very
We
literally
do
don't
not
want
talk
to
about
think
that.
about that.
Yeah.
One of the scariest things I've ever seen in wrestling. That more specifically, one of the scariest noises I've ever heard in wrestling.
But yeah, so Jeff was out of this for quite a while. Like, if you do any pay-per-view watch-alongs at all, you can join us over at the Last Minute Continued Discord, where a bunch of us do stay up late and watch the grueling pay-per-views on British time, which goes into the great night, and we just commentate on it with over in Discord and everything else. But you see points of view like, is Jeff out of it?
Yeah.
What's up with Jeff's boot?
But yeah, me and Pete had this discussion during the thing, and we knew that the boot was broken, and we all saw that the boot was broken because of actually, it was interesting because of the way Jeff's boots are made, where they're clasped at the back. When he's climbing and he's going to leap off stuff, you're literally going on your toes, aren't you? And because of the way Jeff's boots were, he's literally, when he's going to sort of leap off, he's literally prizing the boot off of his own foot with the way his weight distribution is. So all that stuff was really dangerous. But me and Pete said at the time, when in the Discord, has he actually got knocked loopy as well? And it turns out that he was out on his feet for everything up to near the end of that match, when he made quite a comeback and seemed much more of himself. And turns out, hey, the light came back on. But everything during that match from very early on, and they don't even know when it happened, but Jeff was just out.
I believe it was on Matt's podcast or something. I think the report came out today or something.
Yeah.
That they think he was not loopy after the poetry in motion spot.
Possibly, but when he did the bloody swanton onto the steps. Was it that one?
Yeah.
He did that.
There was that as well.
He had no idea. He had no clue where
that
it was.
Dangerous. That was a wince-inducing watch. That was. Like, I know I crawled back into my skin watching that.
It was it was very much a case of, but any time that Jeff was pretty much climbing up or doing anything, it was just like, oh, please don't, because you knew what was happening.
I mean, commend the Bucks to trying to work around it.
Matt.
The
Bucks and Matt.
Matt immediately took over that. You could tell.
Right.
Matt immediately took over that and started going, okay, we're going to do this spot and this spot and this spot. We're going to buy him time. But you knew that Jeff was bad because, again, this is something we discussed in the chat. He was down in the corner, laying in the corner. He didn't roll out. He didn't roll out. So, and that's the side. It's like when at the Royal Rumble where Punk was his last match. He was just laying in the corner for most of it because he was just like, no, I'm hurt. And I
think what needs to be done is Jeff needs to be on some concussion protocol, I believe, for a while. Like, he needs to take a step back, and maybe he needs to go into some of the TNA personas where he's not so much of a high flyer anymore.
You know what would be good, actually? I mean, I'm assuming that
This wasn't the whole Brother Nero stuff originally meant to get Jeff out of his high flying stuff.
Partly with the old Broken Matt's crusade against the spot monkeys.
Yeah,
like the Bucks, which is obviously what started with them. But yeah, it was to do that. But it's like things like the Swanton. There's other things they can do. They do have a tag team finish, which they very rarely they use like once, which was the Rapture, which was the combined power bomb off the top. So they could do that, which wouldn't be as nearly as bad as the Swanton. They need to adapt, or Jeff definitely needs to adapt, I think.
Yeah.
But kudos to Matt and the Bucks for
it was carried to us. It was carried to a satisfactory end.
Yeah.
I just don't feel it was the match they felt like they wanted for their legacy. So I feel like down the road we'll be seeing this again.
We will have a Ring of Honor ladder match replay for AEW. Because that was the thing with the Bucks and Hardys in Ring of Honor. That was supposed to go on for months. That feud, properly for months, and it got truncated to like weeks because of the WWE situation. See the Young Bucks' book for more details on this feud. But
you're expecting wrestling fans to be able to read.
That's why audiobooks exist. Pleasingly not read by the Bucks themselves.
You're now expecting wrestling fans to be able to listen
or subscribe to a service
if you
that is
can
not
listen,
wrestling related.
Subscribe.
Turbo, you got any last minute thoughts on this match?
It was like we've obviously said, it was definitely it could have gone better. With it had it not been faulted by misfortune, effectively. It was all right. It was like it was, the Bucks obviously doing what they do best. Obviously, they are one of the best tag teams in AEW still. Obviously Matt Hardy being like the actual ring general of the match, essentially, as a veteran should be. So, yeah, it was a decent match.
Yeah. If you want a fun game, by the way, going through this entire pay-per-view, count how many wrestlers have their mouths busted open, starting with this match with Matt, because I swear there's about 5 or 6 of them end up just bloody mouth.
There is a lot of blood on this, which we will talk about as we go through.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, there was probably a lot of blood, but I don't think anything will beat the very first Double or Nothing in terms of bloodshed. Yeah.
Oh, no. I think there's a particular match in this that has a lot of content.
Yep.
But yes.
That was only like 90 minutes.
19 is the third longest match on the card.
Effectively. Yeah.
No,
bar the... the main event and
Anarchy in the Arena is the third longest match on the card.
So yeah,
it didn't feel like 19 minutes.
No, it didn't. It's like I think that just extra time was obviously based on how things planned out. That was unplanned, effectively, but nevertheless, let's move on.
We go from unplanned to the continuous planning of Jade Cargill's Goldberg-esque domination of the women's mid card of AEW, with a lot of surprises in this match. To be fair, I'm surprised they pulled out quite as much as they did for this so early on in the card. To be honest, but yeah, we had Jade Cargill defending the AEW TBS Championship against Anna Jay in what seems to be a rematch which just got started out of the blue for whatever reason, with so many other female contenders in the Owen Hart female competition that we've just had and everything else. But no, Anna Jay just comes back.
Throw Dark Order a bone. It was their representation on the damn pay-per-view, wasn't it?
I forgot she was part of the Dark Order.
She still did the thing. She just did the thing.
It's still part of her entrance music.
Yeah.
Also, why is
they really need to do something with the Dark Order?
They definitely they need to reset that group, and
I think they're going to. I still think that they should just be like the dominant force on Dark. It should
Be
just
funny.
be that Dark should literally be their show. But hey, also slight Zatanna cosplay.
It was the commentators actually mentioned that it was a flashback to her original gimmick pre-Dark Order. Because she was like, I can't remember what exactly they called it, but it was meant to be something to like the ring name she was using. Like there was, part of the appendix, Anna J.
I love it when they do
Showstopper,
stuff like
Showstopper Anna J.
it did look a bit ringmastery, didn't it? I guess.
Steve Austin.
No, not that one. Not that one.
Like,
it was particularly impressive when she brought in not only a chair but that whip and started going like ha and.
I mean, the match was very paint by numbers. John Silver coming out, getting rid of Mark Sterling in a net brace was cool. But the big points of this match were clearly what happened afterwards.
Yeah,
Bivens!
so much happening.
Bivens made an appearance. I believe his 90-day WWE contract was up a couple of days before Double or Nothing.
I think it was the day before Double or Nothing. I think
no one saw that coming.
No one saw Bivens coming, but Athena has been with Jade Gargill on Twitter. No, she is not. So
no, but no, I'm glad.
2 brand new appearances. We'll have to see what's coming for it. As Kevin said on the Discord, where does that put Mark Sterling with Jade Cargill now?
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. I mean, Sterling's got other things.
I assume that he'll just go back to a lawyer, and Bivens will be the manager side of things.
Sterling's in a very interesting situation that he's cross promotion. He can basically appear anywhere. Yeah. He appears in Impact, he appears in AEW, he appears in, I think he appeared at the Ring of Honor as well during that thing.
Well,
he literally like transcends everything because he is a lawyer. But yeah, what's going on with that? Don't know. One of the things I actually discussed with our good friend TA Black, Mr. Ian from Last Minute Continue the other day, was obviously Statlander came out, and big cheer for Statlander. Which we knew and expected, and it was like, but you had the 3 of them against the other 3, and Jade and Chris are just towering over everybody.
Yeah,
and I don't want to see Statlander versus Red Velvet. I don't care if there's I want to see Statlander versus Jade. There's the match. Not.
Yeah, that would be a great match, or like an interesting match to see. It's like how both those would work out.
But they were literally like 1.5 feet tall than everybody else in the ring, including the ref and Bivens. So it looks silly.
It's the era of Amazon women's. They right
are
now.
very. Is it a fact of they're very tall or Bivens is very short?
In the case of some of the women, they're just very very short. Chris and Jade are very tall.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, Turbo, it is the Amazon women.
Well, I was going to say the era of Amazon women
Prime.
Yeah, I was going to say if you could order them via Prime, it would make our life a lot easier.
Is that what Tony's doing?
Yeah, probably. Who knows?
Ordering them from Prime, from Amazon Prime. Oh, jeez.
Now, if you could order someone to actually, promote the women's division better as well, I think that would be a good start.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Because they've got a fantastic women's division, and they're not doing a fucking lot with... Like, it feels like the mid-card and the TBS Championship is promoted better than the Women's World Championship right now.
Yeah. It does feel like those belts have kind of swapped places at the minute in terms of the order. But...
Honestly,
if you've got somebody who's a really, really good talker and you could put them in the mix as the mouthpiece for various women within it, that would be a good idea.
If they want to push Jade Cargill as much as they are, then they should get her to drop the TBS Championship and put her in the main women's contendership.
I think the ultimate thing is to take that away and then that'll push her into program with Britt or whoever.
I mean, technically, if she's on such a winning streak still, and we're following the rankings, the power rankings of AEW, she should be number one contender if she's had an unbeaten streak this long.
I think you'll find that there are a number of bylaws and quid pro quos and small print. I do think they have it that if you're going for that, you can't go for the other one.
Just give them both to her and then make her lose one, or make her defend them both on a night. Like, do exactly the whole Rollins thing. Make her defend both on a night, and then she'll have to lose one.
Or you do like the Angle, Jericho, Benoit triple threat that they had with the Intercontinental title and the European title, where Angle lost both.
Yep.
Lost both to both, never got pinned, never submitted. Because they just pinned the Chris's pinned each other.
Chris on Chris warfare. But yeah, as I said, the match very paint by numbers. A lot of it pretty much came from after it. Instead, we go to the House of Black defeating Death Triangle in a fucking stonker of a match.
This was great.
I mean, it was a good match, but was just terribly built. I wasn't invested for this match.
Terribly built, yeah.
And it's like,
it was awful.
Yeah, so I'm actually surprised that it turned out to be good, as good as it could. You know,
well, I think that's down. I think that's down to the workers and them finally all having the ability to do stuff and not be broken. First, it was Pac not being in the country, and then it's
Phoenix with his elbow and
yeah.
I popped the Penta Obscura. I don't care. It's a guilty pleasure. Just like Penta Oscuro. Yeah, lovely. But I'll tell you what, the match wouldn't have been as good, strangely enough, if we hadn't have had that really awesome intro for House of Black with them all in the paint. They've all borrowed Darby Allin for that match, and they came out. They looked menacing as hell. They look serious business. Fucking, was it Matthews?
Buddy Matthews.
But yeah, the former Murphy Matthews.
Yeah.
Fuck me, did he have a match? he had a cracker.
He has had stonking matches since he's coming to AEW, and we knew he could have them because he had back in WWE, him versus Black in WWE when they were both on the main roster had fucking amazing matches there as well.
Yeah.
It was just being allowed to be let off the chain.
He had a real starring role in this as the real workhorse out of the three of them. Brody King, I didn't think did that much.
No.
Aleister Black was sort of there as like haha, but the body doing all the work was actually Matthews. But there was a lot to like about this. The very clearly they've done their homework on each other. Like the moves. It wasn't even the counters. It was like the being ready when like somebody rolled back into the ring, following a move. And stuff like that really made it look like, these guys these guys really hate each other, but they know each other and they're prepared for anything that's going on. There was the one thing that confused you, wasn't there, Pete, which was Pac's mask.
What the fuck was going on with that?
It was half and half.
It didn't look like a half and half. It just looked like he was walking around with a big pink ice pack on his forehead.
I mean, it looked a little bit like it was made from like the scraps that were found on the floor around.
I just saw one really weird camera angle. I was like, why is his forehead protruding so far out of his skull? Like he's one of the pyramid heads from goddamn that silly Egghead movie from the 80s.
Pac Obscuro.
It was so bizarre. But yeah, I was going into this. I was fully expecting Death Triangle to win personally because House of Black have just had the upper hand every time on air, or like all the Dynamite and everything else. And the actual end of Julia Hart being turned, I wasn't expecting just yet. I expected this to roll over to the next main pay-per-view and then Julia Hart to have the turn there. But Death Triangle to get a win as Death Triangle, since they haven't fucking had one yet. But no, Julia Hart being fully turned to the House of Black. I think that's just the death knell in the Varsity Blondes at the moment. Fucking poor Griff Garrison.
Vasti Obscura.
But yeah, so the House of Black now has its first female member. We'll see how Julia Hart really falls into that. Will she get pushed for a singles role now, rather than being a cheerleader, or will she just become a manager for the House of Black? Time will tell. And speaking from, we go from the House of Black taking a win, throwing Mike Rhee off a game, to the first of the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament Finals. Again, I don't know. Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. What do you boys think about this one? Bearing in mind that Reddit is on a flip-flop on Adam Cole. One day they like him, and one day they don't understand who the fuck Adam Cole is.
I'm fine with Adam Cole no matter what he's doing.
I think that's entirely determined on the release schedule of Jim Cornette's podcasts, frankly, as to whether or not they like or hate Adam Cole. But actually, Turbot, what did you think of the tournaments as a whole and how they've been set up and presented here?
I mean, I feel as though, it was kind of difficult to kind of follow at points. Like, and of course, I knew what they were trying to do as well, is obviously have it as a nice way of having like guest appearances in this tournament and whatnot. See people like, Johnny Elite being one of them in the tournament.
Still not signed.
Still not signed.
Probably won't be signed.
Yeah, but overall, I think they obviously this thing started way back, like months ago, and this is coming up to the finals. I think obviously tournaments shouldn't really be going that long, really, for something like this. It's like back in the day for like say King of the Ring and whatnot, it would only happen within that 1 month of like.
I was going to ask you if you would have preferred a King of the Ring type pay-per-view, like late 90s, early 2000s, where you have like the quarters, the semis, and the finals all in one evening.
That's what I would like to see come back, is to have a tournament style pay-per-view event to come back, and you could still have it as the Owen Hart Foundation tournament as such. But if you can't have like the Owen Hart name to it, name it something else. What was it? I can't think of a good name.
I think it will always be the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. I think that's going to be the thing they're going to have year in, year out.
Yeah.
So unless they can think of like a good wrestling type tournament pay-per-view name in order to crown it, then I think they're just going to keep I haven't minded personally the format where it's just been sporadically done it, because they've at least given fair shake to the men and the women as the tournament goes by, and like
one of the benefits has been that it's literally equal time.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I mean, I've been happy with that. It's just it's how it's been stretched along over multiple like episodes and multiple shows and even multiple events, because I believe some of the matches was not even on like AEW television. It was on.
No, all the matches were on Dynamite and or Rampage.
Okay.
So they've all the matches have been televised.
Okay.
Just like the Revolution.
But
fuck that.
I feel as though things like if they want to use this as a build to something and whatnot, and this is obviously I kind of like at the finals was kind of like where they were kind of like, okay, now we can build something here, because here's our finalists, here's who.
This is my argument about the winner of the women's.
Yeah, it's like here's the finalists, and it's like, oh, okay, now we can make a little bit of a story here, of having these two as the winners of this inaugural tournament and whatnot. It's like, It's like you could have done this a little better, and um, it's. I mean, I'm not hating on the tournament. I'm not hating on the tournament because there was some interesting stuff coming out of it and whatnot, and some really decent matches out of it as well. I just feel as though I think it just deserved to have its own like pay-per-view
I think
event
that
rather
would
than
work.
just like.
I think that would work if AEW had more than 4 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah, or even like I mean, you can't even do like a 3-hour special on Dynamite. You know.
Well, I mean, maybe if they're going to start experimenting, because I feel like this is what Forbidden Door is. It's an experiment between whether AEW and New Japan can actually get a decent thing together and sell out the arena. And if they can, they're selling out an arena which isn't one of their big 4. So if they can, then they might extend to stuff, and then you might get your tournament pay-per-view.
Yeah, it's like well, I mean, with that case, I'm not expecting the G1 to be part of you know, the AEW kind of like circuit
No,
with a special crossover version of the event, but no, it's early days yet for the Owen Hart tournament, so I feel, you know, I just need it to, you know, have another year and see how that plays out.
yeah, we'll see.
And
But
you know,
yeah,
but
Adam
overall,
Cole-
it's like, yeah,
Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. What do you think?
it was a fine match. It's like, you know, there was obviously, you know, homages to Owen Hart, which was always going to be the factor of this tournament, is that it was to honor, you know, Owen Hart and the Hart legacy as such overall. And it was a decent match, you know, nothing bad. I didn't find anything wrong with it, whatnot. And I initially felt, because Adam Cole's the AEW, you know, proper wrestler, and Joe, as much as I like Joe, he's bound to ROH at the moment and as their champion. So it's like, you know, gotta have to have him back, go back to ROH and continue his work on there and whatnot. Not have the Owen Hart stuff, you know, tying him. Well, I say tying him down, but it'd be just like an afterthought, because I don't know. It's like if this is going to be played into like the win of the Owen Hart tournament being like a storyline or whatever, like other tournaments that or other championship, like miscellaneous championships that is won by various people, aka the greatest Royal Rumble ever championship.
That was
like
pretty bad.
where but still, I still felt it was all right. Yeah, so I didn't have any problems with it. So, yeah.
Nothing really. I mean, this is the thing that I think Pete, you're going to go on to, Pete. Is that I don't think any of this. Nothing's really going to come of this. The tournament, other than the winners, nothing's going to come. I wouldn't have had Adam Cole wearing the pink, because that's kind of a face thing to do. But hey, it makes sense that, you know, Joe lost, but Joe didn't lose, you know, entirely cleanly. There was interference on behalf of Cole, which, you know, does progress that story. So Joe doesn't look that bad in losing.
Yeah.
Cole gets to brag about it, presumably, but, you know, it was what it was. Like I say, the thing that bugged me the most was the fact that why is the heel wearing tribute gear? That's literally it.
I don't think. I think a large part of this is because a lot of people haven't been able to give respects to Owen Hart on a wrestling stage.
I understand why from the individual, but from the booking point of view, Adam Cole's a cocky asshole and should think that he's better than.
I don't think ring gear has ever come down to a booking decision. To be honest with you, I mean, let's be fair. FTR are technically heels, were heels for some reason, and they've still
They're
done
very
all
much
the
very
tribute
much
gear.
faces now.
I was gonna say. I mean, Adam Cole's had like fan favorite gear before. Like, I mean,
yeah. But
like,
I'm like, when you're doing tribute gear to the person who's the tournament's named after, it's a very face thing to do.
My concern with the Owen Hart Foundation tournament as a whole is I thought they were going to, it looked like in the very early stages they were going to be building up to build new stars off the back of this instead of it just be like a tribute thing. Now, in the men's stuff, we've got Adam Cole, who's challenged for the heavyweight championship several times. We've got Samoa Joe, who's just been signed for ROH/AEW or whatever deal he's on, and is an ROH champion. Who's now on a fucking been written off TV to go and do voice lines for a video game. And, you know, so, alright, I can understand why they don't want Samoa Joe to win, but do we really need to push Adam Cole? And similarly with the women's one, we've had Britt Baker, who's been Women's World Championship forever, and Ruby Soho, who's just come in. Do we really need to put the belt on Mr. and Mrs., you know, instead of building up?
After the fact, I just went, oh man, they totally did this so we could have a nice, happy, friendly picture. But at the same time, I thought, wait a minute, haven't we had this? Is this just going to be a thing now that if one wins, the other will win? Because, you know, that sucks.
Unless
it would have been nice. It would have been nice if we'd have had somebody who was like the younger and the more experienced have a run through to the final. Have like somebody like Yuta or Dante come through. You know,
the promo specifically for Baker versus Soho was about Soho defeating her white whale and actually getting the win over Britt. She still didn't. And you could have given Soho her win. She could have taken that to go forward. And,
it also would have given Soho something.
Yes.
As we have seen throughout this entire thing, which is like, oh, she can't win the big one. And there's no reason why she can't.
The only thing Ruby Soho had was that is that her entrance was better than Britt Baker's.
Just like,
oh, Britt Baker's got the Fozzy guitarist to just do a couple of chords over her entrance theme. Oh, Ruby Soho's just got Rancid. Fair enough.
It was a matter of time before we got Rancid.
Well, I was gonna say, it's like that's normally the key point is if you've got the actual band to play you in, you're automatically going to lose.
But they both had musical accompaniment.
No, like the
time.
actual.
They did have the actual band,
proper band. That's what I meant. It's like it's the same with Triple H. Every time he has Motorhead playing them properly he always loses.
Triple H has been a jobber for like most of his WrestleMania career. Let's be fair.
And in fairness, I'm pretty sure one of those losses was entirely due to him just being confused and distracted by whatever the fuck Lemmy was singing.
Yeah.
It's all about the game, and here's my washing. I have stuff to do today. How are you? It's pretty nice outside, isn't it? Here comes the game.
So I don't disagree that we need to see more of the Foundation tournament. I just don't want the belts to become props a lot like the Diamond Ring House for MJF, where it's just.
I'm wondering how they can present that as. Can they be defended at any point? Can they be like?
No, I don't. I think they are literally just going to be the prop, and it's going to be because they've said the cup's got the engravings on it and everything. So the cup's going to be wheeled out on a yearly basis. The belt will be defended on a yearly basis. But considering both Baker and Adam Cole on Dynamite took them down to the ring with them, they are most definitely going to be there. So they're going to have a championship belt to just.
The belts will be there for a few weeks, but they'll be announced as part of their announcement that they are the 2022 winners.
So they're the belts that they've been presented are effectively like the FTW belt. You know,
the FTW belt has a long and storied history. There's a recognized world title depending upon who you ask in the company and if they're wearing
Absolutely.
orange.
Just like everything else. Just like everything else, it will be televised like the Revolution.
That's still the belt. That's the original belt.
We will move on from oh god booking decisions to oh god will this feud finally end now? With American top team of Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Paige Van Zandt, with Dan Lambert at ringside versus Frankie Kazarian, Sammy Guevara, and Ty Conti, and
featuring
American
the intellectual property of UFC.
And if American top team win, then neither Kazarian nor Guevara are allowed to challenge for the TNT Championship as long as Scorpio Sky is champion.
First of all, I really like that new TNT title.
It's very nice.
That purple and gold, the Lakers one, as people have been referring to it as. That's a nice one. That's a nice one. Scorpio Sky.
Is it now the fourth variant of the TNT title we've had in 3 years?
Because you had the beta, the
strap one that was retired with Brody.
You had Miro's variant.
Yeah,
and then you had
the Uruguayan one. Then you had the whatever the current one was previously.
You had the one for Scorpio. Yeah, the one that Sammy was holding for a long time.
The black strap one. The black strap one. The duplicate of the black strap one.
Okay, so this is the 6th variant then.
It's yeah.
And one of those got destroyed.
Yeah. It's like, and I thought I thought the IC title got changed.
I actually don't mind that. I actually surprisingly don't mind that. I like the idea that it just gets customized a bit, and the colors get changed up. The central design is the same, but just the colorization just changes every 6 months.
My problem is not with the belt; it's with the feud in general.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh yeah, aye.
This feud has gone from who the fuck is the heels in this situation to who the fuck is the face in this situation to wait a minute, the faces are actually the heels are still the heels, and now we've got a face that's working with the heels as well, to can we just move on from this? I'm so tired of it. It's not exactly the greatest storytelling in the world for a start. It's just, that's my belt, I want it back. You took my belt, you cheated to get my belt, I've cheated to get the belt back. Now you've cleanly won it back off me, but I'm gonna, go and break into the people you're affiliated with and steal some of their belts to get another belt match.
It is this weird thing, as you say, with the heels, with so many heels and one face. In this situation, but
again, it's another storyline that was just so convoluted and confusing to kind of like follow and whatnot.
I don't understand with Guevara and Conti winning the mixed tag championships down in AAA, why they couldn't have just had a simple mixed tag match with fucking Scorpio Sky and Paige Van Zandt. Why have we added Ethan Page and Frankie Kazarian to this? To just even up the numbers. I mean, just keep them at fucking ringside. They don't need to be in the match. You can still...
I mean, in fairness, it was just as well Kazarian was in the match, because he was the best thing in the match. Frankie reminded everybody that, hey, he's very good. There was loads of good stuff. All the storyline... The storyline of the match all the way through was just Conti and Sammy being obnoxious, which is why they
obnoxious heels. Yeah,
but they were so obnoxious that they turned the heel team face.
They turned the heel team face. The face person on
the
Sammy's
face person
team
turned heel on
the
them.
heel walkout. Yes,
there's like a triple turn went on in this match. It was weird.
I was gonna say Big Show would have been like having a meltdown, seeing it all happening in the ring. It's like I even didn't turn this match many times.
In fairness, the crowd popped crazy when Frankie told them where the fuck they could go.
Yep,
that was a massive pop. We had along with the big pop for a beautiful slingshot into DDT cutter, whatever you want to call it. And again, in fair giving props where they're due, Conti took that super kick.
Oh,
Sammy put the foot right through.
Like
that was hard.
I mean, she had practice with how she took Penta's super kick back down in AAA, I believe it was.
True.
So
Sammy
obviously Sammy
buried that kick in her face.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like I think they've been having a lot of practice in back home, and it's like I want you to hit me really hard, Sammy. Hit me really hard. It's like whoa. It's like
we don't need to know. We don't really want to know about their home life, which is kind of the point of this entire feud. It must be over now.
It has to. Well, obviously,
I'm assuming that.
Here's the thing: on Sammy's vlog, they've still got one of the American Top Team titles. So whether it's well, I don't know, but we will see. So I'm hoping it's over, and we'll see. Nothing happened on Dynamite this week regarding any of them. But did he
have the fight with Dante Martin?
No, that's on Rampage this week.
On Rampage. I'm looking.
That's on Rampage tonight. In fact, I should say.
As of this recording.
Yeah.
Yes. And from that match into why have I missed the build for this match? It's we go to Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin. Because Kyle O'Reilly fucked Sting up, apparently.
Yeah, Sting got hurt. Sting had to miss the Fan Fest. So clearly, he's not happy with his contract. Sting's not happy with these ex-WWE guys coming in to Neo WCW and taking over. It was probably the most throwaway, ironically, of all the matches.
Yeah, I just wasn't interested. I don't know what it is. I've literally got no interest in Riley and Fish at all. Like, anytime they're on screen, my brain just switches off.
And they've been better than this in NXT, so I don't know why it's like they're the thing that made them great in NXT with Adam Cole, because they're all together, and it's just
everyone's happy at the minute, and so we're waiting for them to cut loose.
Mm-hmm.
Would like to see them versus BCC. Just putting that out there. But yeah, this was really a match to make sure that we've got Darby Allin on the card, because that we know Darby is
he's a
popular individual.
Yeah, he's a fan.
Sells merch, sells tickets. So there's nothing really to say about this one, I think.
No,
not really. Moving on to a bit of a disappointment.
The cartwheel of almost death.
Okay, the cartwheel of almost death. Go on, Kev.
When Darby dived through the ropes, and I don't know what happened. I've seen this many times, and I still can't figure out how the hell it happened. But he sort of like, as he came out, he ended up like spinning in a cartwheel kicked his opponent in the face, and Darby landed on his head.
I thought you were describing the combat animations for Sonic Frontiers for a second there.
No. It's like something really weird happened on the first dive to the outside that Darby did. The second one didn't go that much better, but that first one, he just literally got turned inside out by the ring rope, the apron, something. He literally went diving through and then was like, "Wah!" and kicked his opponent in the face. And
oh, that one. Yeah. No, where he... Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
I've literally seen him. I still can't figure out the rotation on that.
He slipped or something, and then he... as he was about to go out the ring, instead of doing I think it was meant to be like a baseball slide or something, like he slipped and then it just ended up going forward rather than legs first.
It was such a weird motion, and they both got.
But then they just went to a senton on the other side.
Yeah, and it still wasn't that clean of a senton either.
This is the same problem with doing all the suicides that we've mentioned before, like with Big E and everything else. It just leads to problems. You have a slip up, and again, it's just gonna be featured on Botchamania for a while, I guess. Moving on to some, I'm going to voice a lot of disappointment, not in this match, but the build to it. Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb for the Women's World Championship, and I cannot stress how much I have complained about the way the women's division has been handled for AEW, but fuck me. When your challenger has had more airtime, more TV time than your champion since winning the belt, there is something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, I think somebody worked out that Thunder Rosa had less TV time than like a main event on a Dynamite or something in the build up from one pay-per-view to the next.
Is she still a bit beaten up?
I mean, this match went for like 16, 17 minutes. So,
16, 17 minutes, yeah.
So I don't think she's that beaten up, but like, I just feel like being beaten up or not, she's there at the shows. She could be doing a lot more. And the times that she is having interviews, she's always getting interrupted, and the focus is on whoever's interrupting her. She doesn't get her time to actually talk. Like, when Britt was champion, she was in the ring, she was doing the promos, she had a lot of TV time. Why are we not doing the same for your other women's champion? Hell, I think even Adam Page has had less, been pulled back on some TV time as well recently.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, that was Ruby's point, wasn't it? During the promo before the match on Dynamite or what have you, when Britt came out, she basically said, "No, you don't get to talk. You've talked enough. You're on all the time." It's.
Well, the match was really good. I honestly think, like, I knew Thunder Rosa was going to keep it because she's not had many title defenses, but they could quite easily have put the belt on Serena.
I could see them putting it on her as a temporary thing, just so that she's got it as a nod, because she is obviously quite a veteran and well respected, and it would have been good from a point of view of her story. Heck, they even referenced the Straight Edge Society.
Yep.
When in the build up to it.
Yep.
And she was talking about, I shaved my hair for the love of this business, and what has it got me, and I'm just not going to take it, and I'm going to take what I deserve. Yeah, it felt a bit. There was nothing, as you point out. It was an okay match. It felt slow.
It took their time, obviously.
It felt slow. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but Thunder Rosa is so explosive that when Thunder Rosa's going slow, it's noticeable.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that. It's definitely, you have to have always keep the pace on when through a match, and if you are slower than what you can actually do, it'll die crowd. It'll die down a crowd. So, but hey,
who's next to Thunder Rosa? Do you think who should be next to Thunder Rosa?
I don't know, because all the people I would have said are all fucking around with in the mid card. Yeah, it's so hard to.
Is she keeping it warm for Britt again?
They either it's got to be Britt or Ruby at this point. That go back for that belt.
Yeah, I mean, you can't have.
At this point, I would even prefer. I mean, this is the problem with the build to Forbidden Door. We're in a Survivor Series type thing right now, where everything's just going to go to the side for the next 4 weeks, while we go AEW versus New Japan, and then we've got build after that. And it wouldn't surprise me if the next, the entirety of June programming just has that whole Survivor Series problem of blah. But we'll see if it ends up being less AEW and New Japan to being more Undisputed Elite and Bullet Club.
Well, they're currently aligned.
Yeah, I know, but we'll see. But we shall move on from something that was a little bit disappointing and could have been better to, oh my god, the blood. Why is there so much blood? Oh my god, the blood. Why is it not Slayer's Raining Blood playing? Oh my god, the blood. We've got the Jericho Appreciation Society of Chris Jericho, Daniel Garcia, Jake Hager, Angelo Parker, and Matt Menard against the Blackpool Combat Club of Daniel Bryson and John Moxley and the team of Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz in an Anarchy in the Arena match, which was essentially here's 10 guys having a street fight and beating the bloody piss out of each other.
Should have renamed it Max Anarchy. That was reigning in this arena.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, this match! Holy shit! It's like they like Eddie Kingston, guys. The man's a maniac. It's like he's got passion, but by God, he's a maniac as well. Like it's like, dude, all that crazy shit. Also, how it all started was just like, you know, Wild Thing playing on loop for.
I hated that. I know it was. I know it was a tribute to.
I know it's a
match
tribute
way back when, but it was just the fact of why is this still playing? Just fucking end my life. I'm so.
Yeah, and
I don't understand why it's Moxley's music to begin with.
Okay.
Like I get it's a New Japan thing or something or whatever, but like
well, he probably
the music he had, he has Wild Thing playing, and it's fucking Titantron is John Moxley, uncensored violence.
Wild Thing. It's like the wrong version of Wild Thing. They got the version of Wild Thing that they could get, but not like the proper version of Wild Thing, if you know what I mean. I actually kind of I love this match. I absolutely like. I going into it, and I just couldn't look away.
My concern is
it was
that
proper car crash.
My concern is that because it wasn't pre-recorded like Stadium Stampede type stuff, when it was all basically controlled camera angles of what they wanted to show. It was live in the arena, but they were spread because everybody was spread out. We had so many fast, quick cutting cameras to try and keep all the This was a match that would quite easily have done with a half screen,
like
picture in picture,
yeah,
rather than just quick cuts all over the place.
But strangely, I thought that actually added to it. The fact that it was just so freaking crazy that nobody knew where to look, and there was stuff happening everywhere. And you were going. They did keep us up with lots of replays. We had loads of replays during this, and that again it made sense. But frick me, Maynard bled like a stuffed pig, didn't they? Stuck pig.
Yeah.
What? We don't even know. We didn't even see what happened with that. We just suddenly cut back to him, and he had.
It's cut to him, and it was just blood everywhere.
Crimson mask, full on crimson mask. One of the best, and as a result, worst crimson masks we've seen in a very long time. But there was just stuff going on over it. But I love the fact that the music did keep playing, only so that Jericho could destroy the soundboard.
Yeah,
I mean, turn that shit off.
It's like, what would you have been the same if it was, Fozzy being played on loop? And you just like have the crowd.
It wouldn't have had the same effect.
If it was a song that I liked, I would probably care less. Me personally, no, I wouldn't. But the fact that it was Wild Thing, and as Kevin said, it's not the proper Wild Thing.
It's the one they could get.
It's a bootleg fucking Wild Thing. It still doesn't fucking make sense with his fucking Titantron. And it's
get all the barbed wire and the fencing.
Wild Thing.
Was it Anita? Is it Anita tribute? I can't remember.
It was a tribute to something I can't remember. But like, it just irritates me on a level that is unfathomable.
Right, but aside from that, what did you feel of the actual? I'm not gonna say match. I'm just gonna say carnage. It's like what carnage
that is.
Until we got to focused on the ring, it was too cut away, like to focus. Like bearing in mind that we are now 5 hours into this show at this point, and it's 4 a.m. in the morning. My brain's not paying attention. I'm not an ADHD adult teenager. I would just go like, cool, that's happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like even my kind of like you know, brain at that time. If I was watching this live, which I wasn't, sadly, because I had, you know, my sleep pattern is completely shot because of work. I would be just like, I'll be out in and out of sleep if I was trying to keep myself awake from this, and that I would be, you know, completely out of it for. But no, going back on it and looking at how it all just like planned out, it was madness. But it eventually became like understandable madness to the end of how it was like you had like Danielson and Moxley having control and whatnot, but then here comes the unhinged Kingston that, you know, just wanted to go, you know, that one step over the line to kind of like get his way.
To be fair, it played in with the entire story that they had done leading up to this of Jericho burning someone. Burning Kingston, in fact, and then Kingston wanting revenge. Which was, it played into this whole thing of wanting to hit on someone and, you know, that leading to like psychotic delves and everything else, and Kingston just not having not getting on with Danielson, which was made light in the promo as well before the actual thing, and just not caring if Brian was in the way. It all made sense in the way of doing the storytelling that they were doing.
The reactions at that point when Kingston came up, this is obviously after he'd been dragged along the floor with a belt round his neck and all the other crazy shit that led up to this, including them having to probably have to repaint half the arena because they were being thrown against the walls and there's just blood splatters everywhere across the back passages of this arena.
So I saw one tweet of a fan saying that they had to go to the washroom because they got like Eddie Kingston's blood all over.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
Crazy.
I love the joke, by the way, that like all the merch had gone up in value after they just had a rumble.
Covered in blood.
And all these t-shirts covered in blood. Well, that's now $200 for this t-shirt. As he came out, just the crowd and the commentators was like, oh no, this isn't good. But the reactions when it happened was perfect. The fact that Danielson's immediate reaction is to go into fight Kingston, because you got if that is petrol, they're bleeding. There's open wounds. You've literally poured petrol onto them. That's going to hurt. And, you know, it's obvious that at that point it is, you know, this really dangerous situation. Kingston doesn't care about the lives of anybody in the ring at that point.
He was just out for revengeance.
But it leads into them building to Blood and Guts, which is why would Danielson want to work with Kingston?
Well, that's but it wasn't him. It was Regal and
Kingston,
Danielson.
Oh my god. Regal saying Blood and Guts is not the same thing as saying War Games. It really has.
I know, but at least it was a thing. Regal being the guardian of Blood and Guts, I can get behind. But yeah,
just him saying
it's the wrong number of syllables.
Yeah, it's too many syllables.
I mean, he just went Blood and Guts, or he could have gone Blood and Guts.
Yeah, the reading was weird.
Yes.
But again, just to finish off that, but also Jericho's reaction, which was the first thing that Jericho did, was get to somewhere to get this shit off of him.
Yeah, just
and the closest thing was the ring skirt, and that made perfect sense. He would go over, pull up the ring skirt, and just start getting stuff off of him. And even after the match, his first thought is not we've won the match. And by the way, everyone started panicking when Moxley started taking the ring apart, because it was like, oh, this is bad times. But after the match, Jericho's first thing was pretty much roll out the ring, get a towel, get this shit off me, get this shit off me. That made sense.
The storytelling was done very well. and I agree with it. I don't disagree with anything they did with that match. I think they did it well. Yeah, moving swiftly onwards into the three-way tag team for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. We had Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Christian Cage against Swerve in Their Glory of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, and Team Taz of Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks. And I think the wrong people won. I think Jurassic Express should not have won this match. I'm tired of them with Christian Cage as a mouthpiece. They've been building up Jungle Boy for a singles career for the last year. Not giving a shit about Luchasaurus at all in that whole thing. I know it's coming.
It's coming.
But they just needed to. They should have dropped the belts by now.
Yes, they should have dropped the belt, and they should have dropped the belts in this match. Who should have won?
Oh, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland.
That's what I was thinking. I thought that as well.
I disagree, and I think Team Taz should have won.
No, because I think they need to. They needed to have split up Jurassic Express. Not even split them up at this point. You could have just kept it, but just get them away from Christian Cage. Give the belts to Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. Fucking stick Ricky Starks and Jungle Boy on a singles thing. Push them to the fucking moon. And get him in that fucking mid card or the main card as fast as possible. Like, I would like to see Jungle Boy versus Punk. I would love to see Ricky Starks.
Punk would like to see Jungle Boy versus Punk.
Punk would like to see anybody versus Punk. Let's be fair.
No.
Anybody that's
in the media stuff afterwards, he was asked about the people he would like to go up against and have matches with. He didn't mention Jericho, notably, and he also didn't mention Omega at all. He did mention Omega didn't come up at
all. Punk has always been, since he's been in AEW, wanting to fight the younger guys and getting them up there. But when it comes to Ricky Starks and Jungle Boy, I want to see them versus Punk.
I mean, it's not worked out well for him, as we know. He has an unofficial tap out loss in the dark segment following a show.
One hook
tapped him out.
Yeah.
No, I think it'd be nice. It would be nice to have pulled the trigger on Team Taz and give them a bit more.
I don't think they need it though. I think they're doing quite well without. They're not even using Taz as a mouthpiece 90% of the time. He's just loud on fucking commentary every time they're around.
Yeah.
I still think it would have been good. Swerve, and as much as talented as they are, that's a really stupid name for a team, by the way.
They are not going to be pushing Swerve or Keith Lee in a singles thing anytime soon for whatever reason. I can tell that with the way they've handled them. So it would have been easier to put them on there and just push the other guys straight away.
Swerve needs to be the charismatic one for Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor is back.
I don't know. Otherwise, I mean, the match was decent. I know that everybody keeps telling me that there was a spot that Keith and Swerve did, which was reminiscent of their indie days. Where they held hands and Swerve ran up and up the turnbuckle, jumped off the rope onto Keith's chest and moonsaulted off of it or something.
Oh, okay.
Is
impressive.
Yeah,
but it was a good match. I just my biggest takeaway is I think the wrong people won. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot about my biggest problem with this entire card. I think the wrong people won 90% of the time.
I felt that what was it? Like, it was how they were building this up. I was hoping that Christian Cage was going to cause the Jurassic Express loss in some way or fashion in this thing.
It's coming.
I know it would be coming. I thought it was coming here, but it's like
I do not understand what Christian Cage has been in AEW for, other than being a bridging point to get the Impact title back to Impact. And then he's just been a fucking mouthpiece for fucking Jurassic Express.
He's a little bit more coach mentor, I think. He's one of those ones that is a little bit more coach mentor on things. But did you see the end? Did you see the after the match?
I'll be honest. I actually fell asleep halfway through this match.
The celebration was Christian got Jungle Boy up on his shoulders and was like, bruh. And then Luchasaurus came to the side and was like, commentary didn't mention it, but it was like, Luchasaurus was like, that's my role, that's my job.
I thought you were going and saying, that's my Jack. My Jack.
My Jack. My Jack! My Jungle Jack!
Unfortunately, unless they're gonna lead into this as that being a way that they drop the belt,
but it's the wedge.
And it's not gonna happen.
Slow wedge.
But unless they're gonna pull it on Dynamite, you gotta wait another 4 fucking months.
Wouldn't put it past it, but it needs to. It's there. It is there. It's slowly happening that Christian is the wedge because he's so focused on Jungle Boy that he's sort of ignoring Luchasaurus. And after that, when he got off his shoulders, he was like, "Oh yeah, Luchasaurus, yeah, just tapped on the chest." And like, "Yeah, you did good." And it was like,
the problem with breaking up Jurassic Express, and if they're gonna keep Jungle Boy with Christian Cage as a manager, what the fuck is Luchasaurus gonna do other than just end up on Dark?
Please have a series of freeways between those three, just big hoss. Because that was one of the best bits of the match. Just all three of them together in the ring, and everyone just went, "Let's fucking go."
Let's move on to the final match: Punk versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship.
Okay.
Go on, Turbo. You take us into this one.
Let's just say, Adam Page. I really wanted him to have a really good run with this title, but by God, was his title run bad.
The problem is, I agree with you for a start, but the problem is that face runs with a belt are always going to be shorter than heel runs. It's a lot easier to be a bad guy than it is a good guy.
Yeah, I know that. But it also depends on the charisma of the character as well.
It does, and I don't disagree. But in hindsight, I feel like this title change was pulled specifically for the publicity of the next 4 weeks.
Quite possibly. But at the same time, I think it was very necessary. Someone listed down somewhere who Adam Page has actually defended this belt against. Yeah. And it's not the top tier people.
He has had the same defenses in a shorter amount of time as Jericho has defended the belt, as Moxley had defended the belt. He has had the same amount of defenses in a shorter amount of time.
And yet, those two reigns are thought of as better because those two defended it against people at the higher level caliber, and Page has not. Punk is the first person that he's defended it against
of that
any
caliber.
Kind of stroke in terms of the audience and in terms of
the thing is that Page's persona hits a particular demographic, which is the current millennial, because any millennial is anxious with their station in life and they hit it. I really thought, like, completely, as I said on Discord when we were talking about this, I completely forgot that Forbidden Door was this month. I forgot it was 4 weeks away. I thought it was several months away yet, and then we're going to just do the slow build into it. But if I'd remembered it, I would have absolutely have gone for Punk as a winner on this match. I actually thought Page was just going to retain, because having Page beat Punk, and honestly, if he had gone for the fucking heel turn, I think it would have been the best trigger to have pulled it on. If he had actually decked him with the belt instead of dropping it and reconsidering his choices. Reconsidering the choices makes the anxious millennial cowboy who he is, second guessing himself.
And like that plays into what Punk was trying to do in the run up, was to make him second guess himself, as we know from the punch.
So I can't fault the storytelling. I just think that the way they've pulled the trigger is based solely on metrics of viewers and numbers. And I honestly, the problem is that we're now going to go back through this whole Adam Page is going to second guess himself, and then we're going to see him, because everybody agrees that the run that Page had to getting into the heavyweight championship title picture was the best story they've done. I don't think they can bottle that lightning twice.
No.
Whereas,
it'll be difficult. They'll try, but it'll be difficult.
The money is in the chase, as you alluded to earlier. But I don't see what they're going to do with the character now, other than put him back in that what do I do limbo.
I think, and again, I don't think we're going to see Paige until after Forbidden Door at this point, because I don't think Paige is going to be on the Forbidden Door card, unless it's to make a surprise appearance.
It was announced. It was announced that he was going to be, and that has since been retracted.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't follow anything the Observer says. I take it with a large slice of lemon, a lime, and a large dose of salt.
Because normally they don't do that. They don't do that, but they specifically did in this case. They said, "Oh, actually, it's not. We've found out more. It's actually not been confirmed yet."
I think realistically, the only thing you could do at this point is you either have Paige go on a losing streak on Dynamite and then snap, or he goes away until Forbidden Door, makes an appearance, and costs Punk the title in heelish means. We then have him properly take control of the Dark Order and get them back on front, and has a heel turn. And I think that's the best for Paige in this situation. Personally, I think that's the only way I can see, because I don't think they can have face. I'm not sure I'm up for doing the title. I think it has to be reevaluate. If I had taken the shot and hit Punk with the belt, I would have won. That's the decision. That's the clicking point.
A heel Page where Dark Order has to sort of decide to follow him out of friendship, and they're not entirely down with it.
I think Dark Order goes heel. I think they need to.
They have to go back heel again. Yeah.
Yeah,
and they have to have some success behind it, please. Yeah, it would make sense, because obviously Page has got the New Japan history, as with the rest of them. That he might have allies there that he can call upon.
I think if you do it well, you could if they do it well and follow that, they could quite put the gold on Dark Order if they make him a faction to be actually formidable. And I've said my fucking piece on factions in AEW way too many times again, but put the tag titles on Silver Reynolds, put the TNT Championship on 10. You have Evil Uno being the manager, like the in-between between Page and the rest of the Dark Order, just like it was between Brody and the rest of the Dark Order. You haven't been the manager. I don't know what you do with 5. And, maybe even get Anna Jay to get the TBS Championship.
Here's some armchair booking for you. Isn't it Ibushi that's Omega's boy?
I have no idea. Kenta
Ibushi, yeah.
Kenta Ibushi's right. Ibushi wants out.
Yes.
He's been very public about this. He wants out.
Yes, he has.
You put him on Forbidden Door. Page he has a match against Page, because that plays into the stuff with Omega. You then have, during the entirety of this, he's making Page look a bit silly. Page snaps, beats the crap out of him, and basically turns heel on him. I mean, it's completely out of character for Page, like super violent, and that writes him out of New Japan. It then means that he can come to AEW to fight Page, which leads into them having a feud. And when Omega comes back, it gets pulled into that, and then it's the reverse of Omega Page that we had. You reverse the face heel, and then you've got something for that to work on while Omega gets up to speed again, and then you've got the Golden Lovers there as a tag team, which can then go on from there within AEW. But it sort of allows New Japan to sort of wipe their hands of it and technically get a win for their side by having their guy lose because he needs to go anyway. But it allows storytelling on both sides to occur.
Sorry, I wanted to mistake myself. I said Kenta Ibushi. It's Kota Ibushi. Yeah, sorry.
Kenta's the one that will cost CM Punk the victory.
Yes, that's what I've been having in my head all the time. Is that matchup of Kenta versus CM Punk,
which is not going to happen. He's not.
No, it's not.
Fair enough. Well, that is our thoughts on Double or Nothing. Do you want to do rating points again? Yes. Do we want to get back into that?
Yes.
Turbo, out of 10.
Simple enough. I'll give this a 7. It's like there was some good stuff. Just a bit of it was just a bit long, really. In all honesty, I feel so. It's just like, and some of the stuff I would have liked to take some time out of one match, put it into another and whatnot, and just try to filter it down a bit more. But I feel as though it wasn't a bad show, and it wasn't a fantastic show like previous AEW things. I still think that Full Gear the last Full Gear that happened has been the best AEW kind of like card. To date, yeah. And I don't know if whenever they'll actually reach that kind of like pinnacle again. So, but that's my thoughts.
Mr. Kevin.
A 7.5 for me, very much the same reasons that Turbo gave. As I enjoyed a lot of it. I didn't feel the time so much as you boys, but then again I did split it between the evening and then going to go to sleep myself. But yeah, a lot of the stuff I'd like to say, I really enjoyed the trios match we had. I really enjoyed Anarchy in the arena a lot more than I thought I would. Just because I literally was watching just like throughout the entire thing. Really enjoyed it, but there was at least 3, maybe 4 matches on there that just didn't work for me in terms of its build up, its pacing, its position on the card, and the result too.
I'm giving this a very solid 6 fuel cans out of 10. The other one is because Eddie Kingston's taken one down to the ring already. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. It's too long. My disagreements I've mentioned throughout the video already with the booking problems and the short-sightedness of the booking decisions rather than the long-term booking decision, which they've done for the first couple of years, and it did them all the way well through the pandemic. They've just changed for the next month, I think, is what they've done. So yeah, that's me. The next couple of pay-per-views coming up are obviously WWE Hell in a Cell, and then AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door. We don't know which ones we're doing. I don't think we want to burn ourselves out on doing everything back into it again. So we'll play it by ear. And as always, come and join us in the Last Minute Continue Discord, where we can talk bollocks and wrestling, video games, and everything else. Until then, we've been 3 Marks proving MJF right. And we'll see you for the next episode of Last Minute Kickout.
Hello, everybody. You'll notice it's just me and Turbo now. There's a reason for this. Between the last time we had an LMKO and now, things happened. We've been doing stuff in the Discord. We've been setting out our predictions challenge to our Discord faithful. And that has included the challenge between myself, Mr. Turbo, and of course, the former champion. KO prediction.
Well, this is the reason why.
He's full aware that we were going to go into that, and that's why he was like, whoop, 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 over. Not so. We basically had, like, we didn't talk about WrestleMania, and that might be something that we two do at some point. I think it would just be us two. We might just have, like, just a quick 30 minutes just discussing WrestleMania, and we might put that at a later date.
Yeah.
But following that WrestleMania, and following the predictions, we did have a new champion, and it was Mr. John Turbo Finlay. He took the belt away from the procrastinating, vacant defended this thing more, is what we're going to say.
Let's just say, I mean, I wasn't really hoping to win that predictions, form in any way, shape, or form. I was just surprised.
It was some interesting results for folks, actually. We've been working on this in terms of the setup, and it is going to change again because we're sort of refining it down. But as of Double or Nothing, I'm afraid Turbo was just a transitional champion.
As I would be.
It was a much welcome transitional champion. I will say that. Much welcome. In that he had the belt. And what's this behind me on my chair that's been here for the entire time? Oh my! Because I am now. Kevin, am your LMKO champion. Thank you to the crowd out behind the door that just cheered for me. The crowd of one.
A small animal, meowing.
It may have been just like a bat or something outside that just shitted past the window. I don't know. But anyway, so the belt is actually currently with me. But that will change, no doubt, very soon. Whether or not we will do a predictions title for Hell in a Cell, if we do Hell in a Cell, I don't think we'd want to do it for Hell in a Cell, but we probably will do it for Forbidden Door, I suspect. Now, that form on the Discord is open to all of you. If you would like to be a part of our Discord, check out the links below. And we can discuss things, obviously, as we were going, as Pete mentioned during the time. But that form is up to everybody. And there's been a bit of a chat about the other people within the Discord and their predictions going forward and whether or not they could be doing something. So, in the future, this will not be this belt for another company that may or may not be, if I move it about a bit, you can't tell if it's anybody's intellectual property. But we are going to have a little championship, if you like, for you guys. Now, if you would like to be a part of that, you could become our community champion. Think of it like the TV title, except this is not TV.
So it's the Discord chat.
It's the Discord chat. It's the internet title, but very specific. We've yet to figure out the rules for this, but be a part of the Discord, take part in the predictions, and you will gain points. Those will go into a league table, and we'll do it for like a season between. Well, it would be between Manias, I guess. We would do it as normally. It will obviously be truncated, but we will be keeping up with the title situation, and who knows? At Mania, your predictions may go directly against ours. Who knows? But you will become the LMKO, community champion, Discord, King of the Mountain. I don't know. One of those.
How about things like, if we abbreviate all, the LMKO DC champion.
The DC champion, yes.
Discord community champion.
Yes, you could be Batman. This is how this works. But look out for that, and look out for somebody defending this. Just not Hell in a Cell, because Hell in a Cell looks shit. But until then, that's been a little bit extra for LMKO. Myself and Turbo and Pete will see you very soon. Bye, everybody.